The crowd was on fire. More than 15,000 people filled the Madison Square Garden, a wave of sound and sweat, flashes and fists. The atmosphere buzzed with electric anticipation as Muhammad Ali, the man who called himself the greatest, bounced on his toes in the corner, his gloves dancing to an invisible rhythm. He was poised, sharp, untouchable, just like always. He grinned as the bell rang, stepping into the center like he owned every inch of the ring. But tonight wasn't. Like the others, something small, almost imperceptible, was off. He noticed it during the walk-in, maybe even before. A look in his opponent's eyes. Not fear, not arrogance, but something deeper, raw, something he couldn't name yet. The man across from him was not the favorite, not even close. A younger boxer from Detroit named Ellis, the Quiet Storm. Brooks. No titles, no press, just a record of consistent, quiet destruction. The first round unfolded as expected. Ali danced, jabbed, and taunted. Brooks absorbed it, blinking back sweat, saying nothing. He didn't punch much. He didn't need to. Not yet. Ali's corner told him to go easy, conserve energy, study the boy. But Ali knew fights. He knew how. This worked. "He's scared," Ali whispered to Bundini between rounds. "He's waiting to break." The second round started fast. Ali turned up the speed, looking to put on a show. He jabbed to the body, then faked and went for the hook. Clean. Brooks staggered. The crowd screamed. But Ali didn't follow through. Not because he couldn't, because in the moment, just for a split second, he looked into Brooks' eyes and saw something. It was the look of a man who wasn't fighting for glory, not fame, not money. There was no anger, no hatred. There was sadness, pain buried deep beneath focus. It wasn't weakness, it was grief, channeled. Ali had seen that look once before, on the face of a man returning from war, a man who had buried someone who mattered more than his own life. That look stopped Ali cold. The crowd didn't notice. The punches kept flying. The show went on. But something had shifted. For the first time in years, Ali wasn't sure if he wanted to win. Not because he doubted himself, but because something inside told him this fight wasn't about him. He returned to the corner, chest heaving. "What's wrong, champ?" Bundini asked, pouring water over his head. Ali didn't answer. He just stared across the ring, watching. Brooks sit silently, his head bowed, his gloves resting on his knees like a man at a graveside. Ali had seen many fighters. He'd stared down men built like tanks, men with records as long as novels, men who snarled and spat and tried to intimidate with brute presence. But Mercer was different. His fists weren't fast enough to threaten a prime Ali. His footwork was crude, predictable. Yet every time Ali's glove connected with his jaw, Mercer barely flinched. It wasn't the pain that seemed to drive him. It was something else. Something buried beneath the bruises and silence. And Ali couldn't shake it. Between rounds, Angelo Dundee leaned in, towel in hand, shouting advice. "Stick to the body, Muhammad. He's fading." But Ali didn't respond. He just kept his eyes on Mercer, who sat motionless across the ring, staring into nothing. Not at Ali, not at the crowd. Somewhere far beyond, that 1,000-yard stare. Ali had seen it once before, at a hospital in Louisville, when he visited wounded soldiers during the war. One young man had looked up from a hospital bed, missing both legs, and whispered, "You keep fighting for us, champ. We ain't got nothing left." That same look lived in Mercer's face now. The seventh round opened with a fury. Ali, kneading. Enters, pushed harder. He jabbed relentlessly, forcing Mercer back against the ropes. The younger man covered up but didn't retreat. Instead, he whispered something, inaudible to the crowd, lost in the roar, but Ali heard it. Just 2 words. "He's gone." It wasn't trash talk. It was confession. Ali froze again. That split-second pause gave Mercer just enough time to slip out of the corner. The commentators said Ali was tired, said the legend was aging, but that wasn't it. The truth was more complicated. Inside that ring, for the first time in his career, Muhammad Ali wasn't fighting an opponent. He was fighting a story. A wound. After the round, Ali didn't sit. He stood in the corner, gloves resting on the ropes, his breathing steady, not from exhaustion, but reflection. Bandini whispered, "You got him, champ. One more round and he's done." But Ali shook his head. "He's already done," he replied softly. "He just doesn't know it." The 8th round was a dance of ghosts. Mercer came out swinging, not like a man trying to win, but like a man trying to be remembered. His punches weren't wild. They were deliberate, focused. Each blow a message, each movement part of a silent testimony. Ali parried most of them with ease, but he didn't return fire the way he could have. He let the story unfold, and then it came. A brutal uppercut from Mercer that landed flush on Ali's chin. The champ staggered, not badly, but enough to shock the arena. Gasps rose, cameras flashed, commentators shouted. Ali recovered quickly, but the message was clear. Mercer wasn't here for a paycheck. He was here for something deeper. After the round, as the doctors checked Ali's eyes, he looked across and saw Mercer finally speak to his corner. The old trainer shook his head, eyes glossy. Ali realized then this wasn't just a comeback. This was Mercer's farewell. And the grief in his punches wasn't just about loss, it was about legacy. The 9th round began under a hush that seemed to silence even the stadium lights. Ali was quiet now, not just in body, but in soul. The usual fire behind his eyes had dimmed, not extinguished but redirected. He no longer moved like a man trying to win a match, but like someone trying to understand. Mercer, too, had shifted. His aggression had softened, replaced by something strangely graceful, like two warriors locked in ritual rather than rivalry. Ali circled him, throwing measured jabs not to hurt, but to test, to feel what lived inside this man who refused to fall. And then, between the silence and the sweat, Mercer spoke again. This time loud enough for Ali to hear through the roar of the crowd. "My brother died in Nam. This is for him." He didn't blink when he said it. He just stood there, gloves lowered for a moment, like he was offering not a challenge, but a confession. And Ali, he stopped. Right there, mid-ring, with the world watching, the champ froze. Not from fear nor fatigue, but revelation. In Mercer's face, he didn't see an opponent anymore. He saw every boy sent to war, every fatherless child, every promise broken in the name of victory. He saw the cost, not just of combat, but of survival. But the world kept spinning. The bell didn't stop. The fight wasn't over. Mercer charged forward, forcing Ali to react. Their gloves collided like thunder, left, right, uppercut, dodge. But Ali still pulled his punches. The crowd didn't understand. Commentators speculated fatigue, injury, strategy. But inside that ring, only two men knew the truth. One was fighting to be seen, the other was fighting to see. By the end of the round, Mercer's lip was split. Blood dripped down his chest, but he never stopped, never looked away. Ali sat between rounds in silence. No towel could wipe the weight off his shoulders. Bandini leaned in. "Champ, you're letting him take you. This ain't you. This ain't the man who shook the world." But Ali's eyes didn't move from Mercer's corner. "He ain't trying to take me," he whispered. "He's trying to remember someone." The 10th round began with no ceremony, no dance. Just two men moving in rhythm, neither out to destroy, both chasing something invisible. Mercer landed a clean shot to Ali's ribs, the kind that would have brought any man down. But Ali stood, took it, nodded even, a gesture of respect. And then, an unexpected moment. Ali stepped back, lowered his gloves. He pointed to the ceiling of the arena, and Mercer, confused, paused. "He's watching," Ali said. "Your brother, He sees you, and for the first time all night Mercer broke. His shoulders fell, his jaw quivered. The beast became a man again. Ali could have ended it then. The crowd expected it. The scorecards were still in his favor, but instead he stepped forward, not with fists, but with open arms, and in the middle of a world-class title bout, Muhammad. Ali embraced his opponent, not as victor and loser, but as brothers, as survivors, as men trying to carry stories no one else could see. The 11th round began, not with fury, but with reverence. Mercer approached Ali like a man walking through a sacred storm. No more taunts, no more roaring punches, just respect. His shoulders sagged not from exhaustion, but from something far older, grief, memory, maybe both. Ali, too, moved slower, but every step carried intention. He wasn't trying to survive. He wasn't trying to win. He was trying to honor the moment, this unexpected collision between legacy and loss. The two traded blows, but none of them were meant to break. Each jab was like punctuation in a conversation. Neither of them had the words to finish. The commentators were baffled. "Ali's lost his edge," one muttered. "He's handing the fight away." But those in the arena, those close enough to see the fire behind their movements, knew the truth. This wasn't a loss. It was a decision, a choice, to fight for something beyond gold or glory. As the final round neared, Bundini Brown begged Ali to close it strong. "Champ, give them the finish they paid for." But Ali didn't look at Bundini. He looked at Mercer. "He already gave them the finish," Ali said. "They just don't know it yet." The 12th round was different. Ali came out strong, not to hurt, but to uplift. His punches had rhythm again, but not vengeance. He struck with the grace of a man trying to lift another from the weight of the past. Mercer responded, not out of pride, but gratitude. They danced, not like enemies, like men who had survived something unspeakable together, warriors who'd learned that sometimes the greatest power isn't to strike harder, but to hold back. Then, as the seconds ticked away, something astonishing happened. Mercer dropped his gloves, hands down, exposed, vulnerable. And Ali? He didn't capitalize. He mirrored him. Both men stood still in the center of the ring, a heartbeat. Then another. The crowd, once deafening, now held its breath. The bell rang, not with celebration, but with reverence. The match was over. The judges called it for Ali on points, but no one in that arena believed that was the real victory. Not even Ali. As his hand was raised, he didn't smile. He didn't pump his fist. He turned to Mercer, lifted the challengers, gloved himself and pointed to him. The crowd erupted, not for the winner, but for the warrior who'd refused to be broken. At the post-fight interview, Ali was asked why he held back. "You don't knock down a man who's already carrying the weight of the world," he said. "Sometimes the greatest fight ain't the one with your fists, it's the one with your soul." That night, no championship belt could rival what was won in that ring. Two men entered as strangers. They left as mirrors of each other's pain. And for the first time in a long time, the world saw that even in the brutal ballet of boxing, there could be grace, there could be mercy, there could be truth. If you've come this far and felt every word, won't you leave without subscribing? I tell these stories with my heart in my hand to reach people like you, who feel, who get emotional, who live. If this really touched you, reciprocate, comment, subscribe. Come be part of this family with me until the next video.